Welcome back to What the Flick. I'm Matt Atchity, that's Alonso Duralde. File this under the, oh my God, nobody ever saw this coming headline. Ava DuVernay, this is not the part of this. Ava DuVernay has been signed to direct a movie for Warner Brothers, a comic book movie for Warner Brothers based on characters from the DC canon. This is the one I didn't expect, The New Gods.
Yeah, so
that's digging deep.
For those not familiar, which I'm sure anybody who watches this probably is, but this is a creation of Jack Kirby. Was it the third? What's it called?
Fourth World.
The Fourth World. Sorry.
Fourth World.
The Fourth World. So this is Apocalypse, right? Apocalyps, and New Genesis, the evil dark side.
Right.
Mr. Miracle, right. Big Barda, now, Granny Goodness.
We've gotten a hint at this with Justice League because Steppenwolf, the villain, is part of that pantheon. This is one of the nerdier conversations you and I have probably ever had on this show. What's funny about The New Gods though is that this is like Jack Kirby at his Jack Kirbyest.
Yeah.
Like so Jack Kirby, legendary comics creator, the artist that brought us
Fantastic Four
and Thor and
Captain America.
And you start seeing Thor early on get into these kind of weird cosmic adventures. Yeah. And then there's the spin-offs, and we saw this on TV, The Inhumans is like that's a whole Kirby thing, right? Like it's this whole weird alien.
Don't drag that TV version into Jack Kirby. Like he does not deserve
But those characters
I know, absolutely.
Those characters, and you hear about the Kirby Crackle, which is his, like the drawing of energy. So anyway, Jack Kirby did this, like he would go off on these really weird, like cosmic storytelling tangents.
Yeah.
And sometimes they work really well, and sometimes they're just kind of bonkers. And legend has it he was gonna go, he left, not legend, but he at one point had left Marvel, and these New Gods characters I think was stuff that he was gonna do with Marvel, and then pretty much did them at DC, and then ended up, I think, back at Marvel years later. But he did it at DC, and it's just this weird, like these characters are weird.
It's very cosmic and trippy, and Kirby draws everything with all the lines, all the complicated machinery and doodads, and it's
like early 70s, just like when you look at like this is some of the weirder stuff. I mean,
was this after he did Silver Surfer?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like it's the Silver Surfer kind of Galactus stuff, but now transposed into DC.
Yeah, I mean
this whole other universe of these weird things. And but anyway, it's cool, it's fun. But it's not the kind of thing you think, oh yes, major motion picture.
Right. I mean, because these are weird characters, right? So part of it is, I think what happened at DC was basically like, hey, look, we got the King, we got Jack the King Kirby, man, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, carte blanche.
And he kind of did whatever he wanted to do. And I think even the later kind of futuristic Legion of Superheroes is not as crazy as the kind of Fourth World New God stuff. It's just. I mean, the designs are all one thing, right? And it's the typical Kirby, like every picture is like the hand like this. But it's, the character names are so funny, and just what they all stand for and what they all do. It's just, and so
Granny Goodness.
And so that DC is going there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that Warner Brothers is going there for it's just.
And that Ava DuVernay is doing it is interesting on a couple of levels. First of all, like, this is a woman who started out making very sort of naturalist indies like Middle of Nowhere, and then a historical epic, Selma.
Right.
And so now with Wrinkle in Time and New Gods, she is just full tilt boogie with crazy intergalactic, much larger than life, universe. The universe is her palette now.
And I gotta, it just makes me like, it leaves me kind of scratching my head at what's happening over at Warner Brothers, because I would think the easier sell, granted, you have to figure that Berlanti's people are all up in this and would love to do this, but because they're doing so well, the DC characters are doing so well on the CW
TV,
with what Berlanti's done, and he's really learned into making them like these kind of young dramatic stories, and they work really well that way. And I think that there'd be a good entry point for a new set of movies with the Legion of Superheroes. They're mostly young. They're basically this kind of space force. Like you could have these, young, it'd be like 21 Jump Street almost. Like you could do like this, like, or even Brooklyn Nine-Nine, right? But less goofy, but you could have like young cops in space and make that kind of an exciting story. But they're going with that, like somebody at DC, and I guess it's, hey, we saw these second-tier characters do well on Marvel back in the day, and I think one of the things we forget is that when Marvel had sold the right, their huge characters 20 years ago, the biggest characters at Marvel were X-Men, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, right? Like those were the big dogs, and like, oh, we're gonna do Iron Man, oh, we're gonna do Thor, oh, we're gonna do Captain America, and longtime fans are a little like, okay, those are like B-level characters. Yeah, now those guys are the A-list.
And it's very, we forget already that Guardians of the Galaxy on paper was like, really? A talking tree and a raccoon? Like that's so,
I'm glad you brought that up because New Gods is
that level of nutty. But it could totally work. The other interesting thing I find about all this, about Ava DuVernay getting this gig is she, they talked to her about Black Panther. She didn't want to do it. She did Wrinkle in Time for Disney, and now she's going to the other team.
Yeah,
this is DC and Warner Brothers on the other side of the town from Marvel to Disney, and it's like, okay,
and you wonder what kind of money they gave her, what they're gonna promise her. Like, is it a multi-picture deal? Is she gonna be able to produce other things?
What kind of creative control does she have that maybe she didn't before? I don't know. I don't know the story here, but it is certainly from the outside looks like there's a story here that maybe we don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, look, like I want to see it. I hope it's awesome. It's just that's a weird choice. That's such a weird choice.
Yeah, not the hiring of Ava, but the making of this movie. Yeah, no, I agree. I appreciate it. But again, like I think as we saw with Guardians and other stuff that maybe didn't seem like it was gonna snap. Like they could totally go crazy with it.
Okay, now a update from the Delicious Irony Desk.
Oh, brother.
Academy President John Bailey, who has previously said that there is no room for harassment and it needs to stop under investigation for sexual harassment.
Right. Granted, this is an accusation. Nothing has been proven yet, but this is a very weird kind of like irony moment because this is the guy who oversaw the expulsion of Harvey Weinstein from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, and now he is himself in the crosshairs. So we just have to kind of see how that plays out. They're not giving a lot of details about the who's and the what's.
Right. He would be, if he's stepped down, he'll be temporarily replaced by Lois Burrell, a makeup artist.
Yeah, she's
the vice president.
Right.
And I guess he's the first below the line president in a long time, if not ever.
Maybe. He has directed, but I guess he is best known as a cinematographer.
Or since the 80s, I guess. Okay.
He's the first below-the-line leader of the Board of Governors since the 80s. He's also known as a scholar of film history and had a keen artist in how the crafts would be represented in the Academy's museum, now under construction and waiting for the Variety exclusive on this. And the Academy's statement was, we treat any complaint confidentially to protect all parties. The membership committee reviews all complaints brought against Academy members according to our standards of conduct process. And after completing reviews, reports to the Board of Governors. We will not comment further on such matters until the full review is completed. So we'll see where it goes.
See what happens.